Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back, everybody. It is a term that is getting a lot of attention in the past year, and it seems like even more so in the last couple of months, and it's called inflammation. It's been around for a long time. We've been dealing with it personally, each one of us. It might not even realize that we have this thing called inflammation, but it causes many, many health issues, inflammation, irritation. We're going to talk about that today. Her practice is called Hello Future Healing. Interestingly, we've delved into energy healing, spiritualism. She's also a spiritual life coach, Reiki practitioner, but she's also a registered nurse, among other things, in the medical world. And that's what we're going to focus on today in terms of inflammation. You're going to learn a lot today from Danielle Marie. She is our professional of the year. How you doing today?
Wonderful. How are you?
I am well, and this inflammation word resonates very clear for me, and I could tell stories, even recent stories, but even before I get there, why don't we start by going to the basics and explaining what this thing called inflammation is?
Inflammation is usually caused by an irritant, internally or externally. It can be caused by medications, environmental allergens, just a wide spectrum of things that can cause it. But inflammation is widespread in your body. It can start in one area or affect joints, but it's also affecting the rest of your body.
Would you say that, based on your experience, and we can't be exact in this, but most of us, maybe if not all of us, have some inflammation in our body at all times?
It's very likely.
Yep. And would you say that the levels of inflammation have escalated in the past 5 or 10 years just because of lifestyle, our food chain, food supply, a lot of other factors?
Absolutely. Especially between the food and tick-borne illness is massive.
Did you say tick-borne?
I did. We're going to dive into that in just a moment.
Okay. Wow. For you to mention that is concerning, because out of anywhere where you're bringing that up, but yes, absolutely. Yeah, so interesting. What is the main cause of, in your opinion, inflammation today?
Well, there's so many causes, but the top ones that I think of automatically is food, the sourcing, the chemicals that are sprayed on the food and are put into the ground and become part of the root system.
Yeah.
And even if it says organic, everyone, that does not mean there are not pesticides on those plants. Organic has specific pesticides that they can use and still claim it as organic.
That hurt.
That's even, if you think about it, not just the food we're ingesting, but the cotton that grows, the things that we use for our clothing, things that are going into our detergents, our soaps, all of those things, chemicals interfere.
Even those plastics. I had a conversation with somebody who installs water purification systems in homes and businesses, and we're just talking about water supply. And I said, I haven't had tap water since I was in my 20s, maybe. And I have the filter in the refrigerator for the ice and water I make coffee and tea with. I'll use bottled water. And here's what he said: those filters in your refrigerator, it's okay. It clears up some of the minerals and gives it a better taste, but it's not blocking the stuff that could be causing inflammation and harming you. And when it comes to water, we're out there buying, cases of water, $6 and, get 24 bottles of water. So you may be thinking that you're doing yourself a service by not drinking your tap water. And I'm on Long Island, New York, and the water supply here has been said to be not so great in certain areas because of toxic plumes and things like that. So, yeah, the bottled water, he's like, always if you're going to get bottled water, purified and not spring water. And I'm thinking, I think spring water would be okay. He says, no, it's what's in the ground. It's coming back and they're just throwing it in a bottle. And then, of course, you have the bottle. And
yes, the plastic.
The plastic, right. And then I spoke to a Chinese medicine expert, and she said, we're on water, so I figure I'll throw it out there. Never drink very cold or very hot. Just go with lukewarm, room temperature. So many of us on a hot day like a cold glass of water, cold beverage. But she says, no, your body's not designed to internalize that properly, and you're throwing off your enzymes and everything just by drinking something cold. I just learned that. I figured I'd share it.
And as you bring up plastics, think about fillers that are also put in foods.
Yeah. It's rampant. Can I share a inflammation story?
Absolutely.
And you're aware of this in some regard, and it's in real time. So I got a virus last fall out of nowhere. I haven't been sick in half my life. I haven't had a fever in half my life. It wasn't COVID, wasn't a flu, just some virus. I had acute laryngitis, couldn't talk. I had congestion. Yeah, really threw me in bed for like 3 days. Had a fever for 4. Got out of that. Then I found that I had increased iron store levels, like double what it should be. So, I went to the hematologist. All these tests cost a lot of money. Then I scratched something on my neck with my finger, and it turned into or exasperated skin cancer. 10 weeks. I had a tumor, size of a quarter on my neck. Just got it taken off. A lot of stitches. Where am I going with all of this? Oh, and by the way, let me also add to that. They told me that good chance after a PET scan that I have stage 3 cancer. Stage 3 cancer. When you hear that, concerns you right away. Back to inflammation. Turns out that virus I had caused inflammation in my body to the point where my iron store is elevated. After all these tests, it looks like it's an inflammation. We'll confirm that with another test because it should be going down, and it started going down in terms of levels. And that potential stage 3 situation, they thought the cancer got in lymph nodes. It was an inflammation. It wasn't stage 3. All from inflammation. There it is. Now I'm like, me and inflammation are not friends now. And, it's that's where I learned, and I've been hearing this word for years. That's where I really learned, wow, that one virus can set things off in terms of causing different inflammation in your body. So imagine what you're eating is doing it on a daily basis, and you're not even aware of it making you sick. Just a different type of inflammation. Pretty scary what's out there, what can be harming us, right?
Yes, very. And I would like to talk about ticks a little bit too. I'm very passionate about tick-borne disease because I became disabled. Back in 2017, working as a nurse, had an episode that I had to be removed from the facility. It affected, I had it so long, had them so long, that it affected the conduction of my heart to be able to regulate. I had irregular heart rhythms. My blood pressure would bottom out, and I would have near syncope or passing out, near passing out, or syncopal episodes. I was taken out of work. I couldn't drive. I could barely walk 15, 20 feet.
Oof.
It was a devastation.
Jeez.
And talk about inflammation in the body turning into like stone-like muscles, just a whole vast. So I'm very passionate when it comes to these.
You said this came from a tick?
Yes, by the time I was diagnosed, I had Lyme's disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and typhus.
Oh my gosh. Wow. How long did it take for them to figure out that the inflammation that was affecting you came from a tick?
I had to actually fight for the testing. I had to fight for it. As a nurse, I did my own research with my symptomology because the doctor just wanted to call it immune diseases and search those testings. And when those all came up negative, he agreed to test me, and then it came back.
Wow. Unbelievable. And yeah, we hear about tick-borne illnesses, but I've never heard that. What was the resolve for you?
The medical system couldn't help me. So I turned to my faith, and that's how I opened my spirituality more and more, and was led to a couple practitioners that were holistic that helped with part of the process. But finding through my actual healing journey, a lot of the diseases that I was carrying in my body were from the mental body and the emotional body also impacting the inflammation.
Okay, let's go there for a moment. Because we talked about that a lot. How situations, traumas from our past are in us in a cellular level. So
Yes.
am I hearing clear, Danielle, that the inflammation that was kicked up or created by the tick illness exasperated what existing conditions you had from past traumas that were in your body, and I'll call it the perfect storm of inflammation?
Yes, I would call it the perfect storm. I would call it being put in timeout to do my work that I was refusing to do by staying busy, working my tail off, and taking care of family versus taking care of myself.
Wow.
When I went to a doctor, I believe when I first got the Lyme's disease, because I had flu-like symptoms, but I didn't have a target rash. So he wanted to put me on an antidepressant because I was low. And I tried that for a few weeks, 6-8 weeks. It wasn't what I needed. And it cleared up after I stopped the medication. Everything was gone, or so I thought. But the toxins were still in my body, affecting my body.
Unreal. Now, what we're talking about here are extreme cases of inflammation, just to illustrate what
Yes.
can happen. But on a daily basis, back to food, back to your environment, even stress, all of that is causing inflammation in your body. And you may be thinking, I don't know what's wrong. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. And you just might think it's something else, but it's an inflammation being caused from another source. How do you trace back what it is?
How I trace back what it is going into that part of the body and sensing what is actually coming up when I go there.
Okay. You mean on a energetic level?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
So this was, started 2017, and this is what you do, and you've helped so many people through energy healing, spiritual life coaching, myself included. It's almost as if this happened, I'm going to say it, for a reason.
For me.
Yes. To change your life, but change the lives of others. But prior to the tick situation, were you plugged into this whole energy thing and healing and all of that? Were you using it? This all, that's where it started.
Yes, I had really good intuition, and I would hear, especially on the nursing floor in the hospital and things, I would hear things, and I remember distinctly a couple times where a medication error could have been made, the wrong medication was in the Pyxis slot, the wrong dosage, and hearing that and double checking things, I learned to start listening to what I was hearing.
Yes. And we know we're our best advocate. Even when I was told stage 3, for the moment, I could tell you where I was when I got that call. I was like, whoa. And I jumped down a rabbit hole a day or two, came back up thinking, my intuition tells me that's not what it is. That's not and I went back to the
Yes.
virus I had and why my, ferritin levels went up. And right away in my mind, inflammation. And as the universe gives you what you need, I was able to connect with the doctor who did surgery on my mom for the same type of cancer on the neck. Can't make that up. In 2017, he became available he changed healthcare systems like a month before. So
Did you just say in 2017?
when my mom had her surgery, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, that's when I had my issue.
Yeah.
I would like to discuss a couple things.
Sure.
My belief is that the mental body, there's a physical body, there's an emotional body, there's a spiritual body. And I believe when those are in turmoil, inflammation arises. I also believe that we are taught the physical body, and that's what it is. But how many times can you go to a doctor for a physical reason and actually get a result versus a symptom treatment?
Yeah, today's medicine, and not to take anything away from doctors, they're just treating the symptom.
Right. But I think we're looking at it wrong. I think we're supposed to use our spiritual senses to be in touch with all of our bodies.
Yep.
And I think that the disease and the ignoring flares the body, trying to get us to pay attention.
Completely agree with you. And if you go back centuries, the doctors were the spiritualists.
Yes, yes. And that's where it got taken from. And that's also how it got moved into churches. If you think about the things that occur in a church. But I would like to discuss alpha-gal if we have time.
Please do.
Do we have time?
Yeah, we do. Yep.
Okay. So alpha-gal syndrome is a newer tick-borne disease. It's a toxin. It is prominent in the United States, but it's worldwide. It was just discovered in 2008. And if you remember Martha Stewart, she went to prison for tax evasion through trading.
Yep.
She was working with a company with a cancer drug. And they found out that people in the South were dying with this drug. Alpha-gal was discovered. People in the South were more likely at that time to have the disease, the syndrome, and it's caused from a toxin from a tick bite. The toxin goes into our body and makes us have inflammation and react to mammalian meats and products. The inflammation, what is so dangerous is this is newly discovered, not well researched yet, but the symptomology can be as simple as a rash, upset stomach, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, inflammation in areas, swelling, all the way up to anaphylaxis. People have died through surgeries, through heart transplants where they're using pig valves, through blood transfusions. And there's not a ton of data yet because it's so new. And I'm working here in rural North Carolina and am studying this. And according to the CDC, their range on the predominancy of it in our country, I believe, is under-recognized. In our clinic, we've went back to before there was testing available to where people had meat allergy testing and were testing positive for that. They developed a test to search for this. So we went back, and in this small rural community, as of today, well, I take that back. As of yesterday, we have 93 cases affecting children all the way up. And we're trying to bring community awareness to the issues that are affecting people, and they don't even realize it. And what's scarier is that usually diagnosis for alpha-gal syndrome is 7 years. People going back and forth to different doctors, different specialties, trying to figure out what's causing this in their bodies.
People could be walking around with this, have no idea.
Yes.
And because it hasn't been researched enough or enough awareness that there's not a steadfast test. Like, all right, take a COVID test, got COVID, do something for it. This, you're kind of running blindly.
Yes. And the CDC tracks tick-borne diseases, but not alpha-gal. It is up to the state level if they are tracking. And the sort of state of North Carolina currently is not tracking this.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Not to scare anyone.
Right, right.
This
to bring awareness.
Yeah. And what is alpha-gal syndrome creating in your body? Back to the beginning. Inflammation, as is, unfortunately, everything. Oh, no,
did I lose you? There you are.
What? I'm here. I would truly love to go back 100 years, 150 years, maybe two. And if there was a way to identify how much inflammation were in the bodies of those people, I got to believe, it was very low where we're all very high in our lifestyles. And, you woke me up just now. You think buy organic, spend more money, better chance of better quality food. Misconception. No pesticides. They're using natural stuff. No, it's just a certain type of pesticides that are approved by our government. I don't do politics. However, our government doesn't even govern pet food. There's no FDA for pet food. Just an example. Your cat, your dog, they're eating. You have no idea what they're eating.
Well, something else that's really coming to surface, too, is gluten.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people having gluten allergies.
Sure.
But a lot of people, if they get wheat that is grown overseas that do not have any pesticides or enriched products or bleached, they're not having reactions to those products, and they can eat those products.
Well, if you look at the ingredients of French fries in the UK, there's 3. If you look at the ingredients in the French fries in the United States, there's 17. We'll put a period at the end of all of these sentences and just, the awareness is there. You are available to help people in all different ways, whether it's spiritual life coaching, whether it's guidance, Reiki, and certainly I want to remind everybody that your medical background, you are a registered nurse and continue your education journey in the medical field. And for that, I love you because you bring to light
thank you.
things that we all don't know and nobody's talking about it. Best way to find you is your website, right? What is that? It's
hellofuturehealing.com. And you can
go ahead.
Find me on Facebook, Danielle Marie, altogether white.
I knew about your journey and some of the things you even dealt with many, many years ago. I did not know, and I'm surprised, in the times that we've talked, I didn't know that it began in 2017 with that tick situation. I remember you mentioned something loosely there, but I didn't know your spiritual journey of your awareness, maybe awakening, and helping people started there. I thought that this was, that was in you, years ago. And wow, amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it and bringing this whole thing to light. And we'll get together next time.
Thank you. Have a wonderfully blessed day.
You too.
Bye, guys.
We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.